Good evening, members and guests of Canadian Actors Equity Association. I am thrilled to have been asked to make this presentation to Chick Reed. I may not know Chick as well as many of you do, but what I do know is that I am always excited to see her work, her magic on stage. I first met Chick when we volunteers at Theatre Plus Toronto were introduced to the company members just before the summer season of 1990. As I recall, Chick was the first person to come up to the volunteers and introduce herself. She was gracious, welcoming, kind, genuine, and generous, as I have come to know is typical of her, as all of us looked forward to the new adventure on which we were embarking together. I am grateful for her continuing friendship since. Her talent, charisma, sparkle, and caring have produced some of the most spellbinding and moving experiences I have ever had during my many years of theater going. I am always happy when I know I am going to see Chick perform. Of the many memorable performances she has created over the years, one in particular, which also showed her versatility, was the stunning scene in Theatre Plus Toronto's production of La Balle, in which she and Richard Binsley danced and stopped the show every time. Along with being a consummate performer in theaters across North America, Chick is an excellent teacher and mentor. From Queen's University to Stratford and beyond, she has been teaching students to challenge themselves to be the best they can be, and then even better, both by her instruction and her example. Among the people who have supported her nomination, including Sarah Topham, Bethany Gilliard, Deborah McGrath, Maria Vakratzis, Christopher Banks, Catherine Smalley, come these selected comments. Quote, "I only worked with Chick Reed once at the beginning of our theatrical trajectories, but never forgot her for her humor and warmth and grace," unquote. Quote, "Mentor, treasured colleague, gifted and beloved teacher, gracious, warm, generous, approachable, available," unquote. Quote, "Extraordinary, talented, great-hearted. As an actor, she has worked across the country in theaters large and small, and whether in Shakespeare or new work, playing queens or beggars, kindergarten teachers or a lesbian in limbo, in tragedy or comedy, she delivers every time. The contribution she has made beyond her service on stage is immeasurable. As a teacher, as a mentor, and as an artist, she makes the workplace and the work better for her presence," unquote. Even more good news is that Chick continues to collaborate with colleagues and audiences and is performing again at Stratford this year. I have my tickets. I hope you do too. It is with great pleasure, a sense of privilege, and an honor that I present a lifetime membership with Canadian Actors Equity Association to one of the most remarkable women I have ever known, a treasure of the universe, Chick Reed.
Well, got nothing to say after that, Barbara. Thank you very, very much. Well, I guess this is what happens to a girl when she's too old, too ingenue, and too stubborn to quit. You get this. Thank you very, very much. I'm honored. Besides this award making me so proud to be an equity member, which, by the way, I'm celebrating my 42nd year as an equity member this year. It's a special night, so please don't do the math. So this has made me very, very proud and very, very happy, but it's also reminded me of something that I think we all tend to forget throughout our careers. And it is this, it's that our career is so much bigger than a list. It's bigger than a list of parts and plays and productions and playhouses, right? Our career is it takes so much more than our resume to stay in this profession of ours. And a lot of the things that I admire so much about my colleagues, I love their work on stage, but most of the time I'm so proud of them for other achievements. And I think we have to remember that about ourselves and our friends all the time. I'm thankful for a lot of things. I'm always thankful that I came into the profession when I did, because it meant that I got to be in the room with the Franny Highlands and the Martha Henrys and the Jenny Phipps and the Joycey Campions and the Douglas Rains and the Douglas Campbells and the Brian Bedfords and the Christopher Newtons and the Richard Monettes and Bernie Hopkins. I could go on and on. I was so privileged to be in rehearsal halls with those people, and still am to this day. And it was the best schooling I could ever get, frankly. And I thank them all for their continued generosity of spirit and their talent that they continue to pass on to the younger generations. I'm also thankful that I'm in my own generation, because I think it's a really good one. Oh my goodness, when I think of all the friends of my an age that I've worked with and met over the years, it's been fantastic to see where we've started and see where we've come and what we've done and what we haven't done and what we've achieved and what we haven't achieved yet, and all the adventures we've had together. I think it's amazing. I think the wealth of talent in our generation is astonishing. I'm convinced that if there were a play that required 10 actors of an age, we could cast it 10 times over in this country. Yeah. And I'm thankful and lucky that I get to work with the younger generation too. Hard as it is to look in their lovely, lineless faces, have you shared a dressing room with anybody under 30 lately, girls? It's not for the faint of heart. It really isn't. It's such a great age, and when I see them at the beginning of their careers and the joy that they have and the fear and the terror and the wisdom and the innocence and the ignorance, all of those things. This just makes a gorgeous, gorgeous package, and they keep us honest and they keep us on our toes. And I'm really, really happy that I get to work with youngsters now too. And I'm thankful for my students at Queen's. They've enriched my life in ways they'll never, ever know. Again, at that gorgeous age where they don't want your job yet. You know, they just, you know, unlike the 30-year-olds that do, you know, the kids don't want your job yet. But, do you know, I started teaching there in 2005, and I was just at the point in my career where, as one gets, you get comfortable with things and you get some knowledge behind you and some things that you know work for you, and you go through the steps, but sometimes you're maybe not doing them as carefully as you used to when you were starting out. And so when I started teaching these kids, I had to articulate and go back to basics, and being able to go back to square one and the fundamentals of what I think, in my opinion, the fundamentals of acting are and what it is to be an actor, combined with the experience I'd already had, it was just so enriching. And I know for a fact those kids have made me a better actress, and I thank them for that. And I thank my husband, Tone, because he's been with me every step of the way. And if I'm in a part that's this big, or this big, or this big, he always likes me best. And that's why we've been together 38 years. Thank you all very, very much. I am touched and honored. Cheers.
I've watched Bill's career since he graduated from the National Theatre School and arrived back in Vancouver in the late 1960s. His contribution to theatre in Vancouver and Canada over the past nearly 50 years has been, as Paula said, immeasurable. I think it's fair to say that under Bill's leadership, the Arts Club Theatre has been the true regional theatre in BC, touring the province consistently and providing increasing year-round opportunities for equity members, reinventing itself, growing from one small refurbished gospel hall on Seymour Street to 3 theaters and a year-round season of plays, development of new plays and musicals, workshops for teens, for professionals, providing opportunities, mentorship, and work for so many equity members, whether emerging, mid-career, or senior artists. Bill has been a champion of Canadian performers and Canadian playwrights since the 1970s, when everybody was not doing it. Premieres of new works accounted for 20% of his programming overall. The Arts Club became a home not only to popular Broadway hits and musicals, but also to new work by Michel Tremblay, David French, Carol Bolt, Sharon Pollock, and countless local writers. Most recently, as the community has called for increased diversity, Bill responded by making casting more inclusive, hiring more women directors, and for the past 12 years, commissioning and producing plays by local playwrights, many of whom emerged from the acting community and are our members and colleagues. Well-known equity members like Nicola Cavendish, Jill Daum, Lucia Frangioni, Hiro Kanagawa, Kevin Loring, Sean McDonald, and Marcus Youssef, to name a few. Bill has supported innovative equity co-op productions like Mum's the Word, not only remounting them on the Arts Club main stage, but touring and promoting them across the country. And with his championing, projects initially subsidized by our members' passion has resulted in many years of solid, rewarding work that benefited the artist, the theater, and the audiences alike. Beyond that, the Arts Club Theatre, under Bill's leadership, has provided untold support to a wide variety of initiatives in the community, whether helping with community fundraising initiatives such as Theatre Cares or PAL Vancouver, sharing governance expertise with emerging artists and newly formed organizations, lending props, lending costumes. The list could go on and on. He's a loyal, insightful artistic director, colleague, and friend. Our council president, Scott Bellis, has this to say about Bill, and I wish I could do an imitation, but there's a reason I direct plays and don't act in them. Bill Millard was firmly planted in the bedrock of the Vancouver theatre community before I came onto the scene in the late 80s, says Scott. As young theatre students looking to find opportunities at the Arts Club, we were all aware of his quirky charm, shrewd business acumen, and his sudden, sharp, and oft-imitated laugh, which could be heard at every opening night backstage celebration. Additionally, he always carried with him an enthusiasm for theatre and for the people who do it, which was exemplified for me personally during my first audition for him in 1991. After I plowed through the reading of the scene with unbridled physical abandon, he commented brightly, "Well, that was fabulous and completely overwhelming. I'm a bit speechless. Let's try that again." His amusement set me at ease, and we went through it a second time. It was a lot of fun. I came away from that experience with the feeling that getting it wrong is okay, and that generosity is a necessary part of the process. It was an important lesson, and it has stayed with me since. For the record, I got the part. Bill's legacy is well exemplified by the healthy, unrivaled presence the Arts Club still has in the Vancouver community. Through the many challenges presented over the years by the BC economy and the changing cultural landscape of our city, Bill has continued to make the company grow and provide countless opportunities for our members to show what they can do. His work ethic and dedication are famous, as is his overstuffed office at the Granville Island stage. Piled high with scripts, books, photos, and other documents, the collection began in 1979, and despite the opening of new admin offices, it still remains untouched, a perpetual museum reminding all of us of the indomitable spirit of Bill. Congratulations, Bill. In his career, Bill has rightly been honored with many awards. So let me add that I think it is very fitting that the year that he retires from the Arts Club is also the year for equity to honor Bill Millard. It's now my great pleasure to present Bill Millard with life membership in Canadian Actors Equity Association. Bill is unable to be with us tonight as the musical he's directing for the Arts Club is in previews. Although he's accomplished many things over the years, he's yet to master cloning. However, he did send us a message via video.
Hi, well, I'm here in my office at the Granville Island Stage in Vancouver, and I just want to thank the Canadian Actors Equity Association for this award. I was surprised when I was informed, but also honored because of the many years that of course, that I've worked with the association in many different ways, starting back in 1968, which was my first contract, equity contract with the Playhouse Theatre Company here in Vancouver. And it was, of course, the American Actors Equity Association. So one of the things when I started getting involved with the Arts Club Theatre Company, and I met Daphne Goldrick, actress who appeared in some of our shows, and I also knew her when I was a stage manager at the Playhouse. And she talked about the need to separate from the American wing, as it were, and create the Canadian Actors Equity Association. And I helped her with that a little bit. I was on a committee in the 70s, and of course that came to be. By the time it was formed, I wasn't working on equity contracts, being an artistic director, although I did do some freelance work, but really for the past 30 odd years, I've not been on a contract. And here we are, 50 years later, 2018, and I am on an equity contract as a director of the musical Once, which is what I'm doing now and why I can't be in Toronto to receive the award, as we are in previews. And some of the individuals that have really shaped my career, including Joy Coghill, who hired me back at the Playhouse, certainly Daphne and her guidance and her wisdom, and then working with people here in the Western office over the years. There was a period, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, when the Toronto office wanted to close the Western office, and I was really a very keen supporter in having a relationship with people who knew what we were doing here in Vancouver and of course in the West. We sometimes do feel cut off, so I was pleased that the Western office still exists, and thank Jennifer for being a contact, a colleague, and somebody we're able to talk to and explain whatever issues, of course, come up. And there have been a lot of issues over the years. But I would like to just conclude by saying thank you very much, and all my friends, equity members here in Vancouver. I appreciate their support and, of course, what they've given to the theatre life here in this city and, of course, across the country. Thank you.